welcome back to VG's Astro, and it is time for our Mars transit video. Mars now goes into the sign of Libra on 13th of September 2025. Now, I've been getting a lot of requests on email and also on WhatsApp and messages asking me to do a combined prediction video based on all the planetary placements on different signs and do a monthly prediction instead of doing a single planetary transit. But you know what? I feel more comfortable doing a single planetary transit video rather than doing a combined transit video because that gives me more time to explore one single planetary placement and give a very detailed perspective on that planetary placement instead of doing a combined planetary prediction where I can get like what 3 or 4 prediction or 5 prediction per ascendant, and that's hardly saying something, right? So I want to do individual transit prediction, and I also want to thank you guys for all the support that you've been giving me. I don't want to keep you guys waiting with the introduction. I really don't have much to say about it except that Mars does not feel very comfortable in the sign of Libra because Libra is owned by Venus. It's an Aries sign, but Mars is fierce. It is a fire planet, and it does not really feel very comfortable in the sign of Libra. But still, Mars has got to find its balance because of Jupiter's fifth aspect on Mars. So things are going to be a little different than with Mars in Libra alone. And today we're going to discuss that. We're going to look into Mars transiting in Libra with Jupiter aspecting it. So there's going to be a beautiful dynamic that's going on. Let's not keep you guys waiting, okay? Let's begin with Aries ascendant or Aries moon sign. So for Aries, this is a very important transit because Mars is your Lagna Lord, which is your very identity, your fire, your willpower. And Mars is now moving into the sign of Libra, which happens to be your 7th house of partnership, contracts, and relationship. So what happens? Your energy, your fire, your courage, it all flows into the domain of the other. Suddenly, your life feels like it's revolving around other people. Your spouse, your business partner, your competitors. But that's not all. Mars being your Lagna Lord and your 8th Lord in the 7th house means there could be a break in your relationship, or maybe a new chapter is opening up in your relationship. Doors are now being flung open to new relationship. Yes, that is possible. And that is why relationships during this period may feel very intense, very karmic, sometimes even confrontational, because they're not just about love and harmony. They're about your transformation because Mars is your 8th Lord. And some of them can be very tricky to handle because Mars cannot go about ordering things in the marketplace in the sign of Libra. You cannot use physical force here. Jupiter aspecting from the sign of Gemini means Jupiter is now pushing its style of communication onto Mars. Jupiter does not want Mars to use force. Jupiter now wants Mars to communicate. It wants to negotiate. It wants Mars to negotiate. So that means Aries is now in a situation where you're supposed to learn the art of negotiation, to learn the art of communication, the art of making deals. You need to play the diplomat. You need to strike a balance between being assertive and being compliant. That's how deals work. Sometimes it's giving, sometimes it is taking. So it's more of a give and take kind of situation for you. So because of Jupiter, Mars becomes a brilliant negotiator. That means Aries is going to bring their very best to the table. There's going to be plenty of competition as well. You're now gearing up to beat that competition and become successful. Fantastic time for Aries people because this is not just about learning. It is also the time for you to succeed and to prosper. And now look at Mars's aspects from Libra. From the 7th house, Mars aspects the 10th house, which happens to be in the sign of Capricorn. This is where Mars will do brilliantly well during the next 1 month at work, at your workplace. And if you're someone who's starting work afresh, like going into a new job or starting work for the very first time, then expect to build a very strong impression at your workplace. Mars and Jupiter would now want you to be the absolute best in whatever you do at your profession. Your career life is going to be very transformative. Some of you may quit your job or may have already quit your job because Saturn is in the sign of Pisces in the 12th house. So maybe you've been looking for a new job. Maybe you've been searching for something new or changing your job. And all of that is now possible because of Mars's aspect on the 10th house. Mars is now heating up, charging you up to go in search of something new, something different, and be bold in your search. That's really what Mars wants. But at the same time, remember, a bird in hand is worth two in the bushes. That is what Libra is all about. Libra wants balance. Libra does not want you to quit the job and then go in search of another. If you are someone who's got a job, don't quit it right away. Wait till you find that new job and then make that shift. Then Mars aspects your own Lagna. This is powerful because it creates a mirroring effect. You're looking at your own self from the perspective of an outsider, from the perspective of other people. And you know what that does? That gives you an opportunity to correct your flaws, to correct your mistakes. This is Mars's time to balance the we versus the me. A very good time to learn how your decisions affect other people and then how it gets perceived by the very same people. Finally, Mars aspects the second house from the sign of Libra, which happens to be your Taurus sign. And this is about confronting fears about money, confronting fears around stability, and also intimacy within your family structure. And there may have been thoughts of becoming financially free in the past. Mars transit looking at the second house can bring fears and emotional insecurity tied to finance. There could have been fears of being forsaken and then having to live alone and having your own money to run your life, etc. And this fear may have occurred to you before, but you have been brushing it aside in the past. And you may have never wanted to confront those fears, but now Mars is in a position where Jupiter is pushing it to know about finance, to at least learn the basics of financial freedom. And Mars is now in a position where it is getting forced to face what you usually avoid. The shadow side of this transit is that there could be ego clashes in relationship. You might feel like everyone is opposing you, but the gain is hidden inside the shadow. You will have to find that balance with other people. This transit can bring new relationships, new partnerships that elevate you. Business alliances can open doors. Mentors can now come in the form of business partners. And even conflict itself can clarify your true desires. And if you're single, someone karmically important may enter your life now. If you're married, this is the time when honesty and courage can deepen your bonds with your significant other. And financially, gains can come through partners, from contracts, or even joint investments, provided you approach them with fairness and not your usual domineering nature, because Libra is all about balance. Jupiter is the one which is now making you think that this transit is more like a classroom learning rather than learning it in a battlefield. And Aries, my advice to you is simple: don't shy away from confrontation, but don't enter it blindly either. Every disagreement, every challenge with a partner during this period is a chance to see your own reflection and make it better. Make your relationships your passion. And that is the gift of this transit for you, because Jupiter is now aspecting the sign of Libra from the third house. And that's all I've got for Aries. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment, give it a thumbs up. And also, if you want a consultation, do drop an email below and I will look into your chart. Let's see how it goes. Next up, we have Taurus Ascendants or Taurus Moon sign. For Taurus, Mars enters the sign of Libra, which happens to be a turning point in your life because Mars now goes into the sixth house. And sixth house is the house of enemies, debt, rivals, competition. It is the house of daily grind, and that is the battlefield of life where our discipline is getting tested. And when Mars the warrior enters this house, he's not getting perplexed. He's feeling at home because Mars is a warrior planet. You will suddenly feel this burst of energy to deal with problems you might have been avoiding in the past. Whether it's a lingering health issue or an office rival or a debt that you want to clear, all of that is now coming into the focus. But you know what? Mars is not very comfortable in the sign of Libra because Mars is about pushing forward, whereas Libra is about finding the balance. And since Jupiter is now aspecting Mars, Mars is not going to go all guns blazing in the sixth house. Mars wants to negotiate with your office rival. It wants to negotiate with your enemies. So it's about turning your foes into allies rather than becoming friends with them. Of course, that's not going to happen, but at least you can turn them into your allies. You can fix boundaries and work together to have a win-win situation in the sixth house. And Mars rules your seventh house of partnership as well as 12th house of losses. What does that mean? It means there could be a legal dispute which now comes out of nowhere because 12th is hidden things. 12th is also your hidden subconscious pattern. Even that is coming into your daily struggle. Business partnerships could now feel tense. There could be marital issues flaring up in your personal life as well. So, the 12th house energy means your hidden fears, your suppressed anger, and even karmic baggage are now being fought out on the sixth house. So, this is not just about office rivals or debt, it's about fighting your inner demons as well. But there's an added advantage, and that is Jupiter. Jupiter from Gemini is casting its fifth aspect onto Mars. So it means Jupiter is charging up Mars's energy in a very positive way. Jupiter does not want Mars to fight blindly in the open, in the dark. No, it wants Mars to fight by taking the legal route to resolution. So if you've been facing a legal dispute, Mars will now give you the impetus to charge ahead very quickly and bring an end to the problem, but also to use the legal loopholes available in the system to bring an end to that problem. And especially watch out for a problem resolution when Mars enters the nakshatra of Swati. Because Swati is the nakshatra of Lord Narasimha. And I want to do a separate video on this, but I want to go very brief about Swati nakshatra. Because Swati nakshatra is the nakshatra of Narasimha, who is the avatar, probably the fastest avatar of Mahavishnu. He comes as half lion, half man, tears the enemy apart in seconds, and then he leaves very quickly. So, Lord Narasimha makes use of the loopholes in the promise made to Hiranyakashipu. And anyone who's aware of the story of Narasimha knows that God himself abided by the rule of not killing Hiranyakashipu inside or outside the palace, but at the threshold of the palace. He did it at dusk, which is neither day or night. He ripped open with his claws, which is neither weapon nor tool. And why did he do that? Because Libra is a sign where Saturn gets exalted. Saturn is the arbiter of justice. So even God did not want to break the rule. But the reason why I'm telling you the story of Narasimha is because if you pray to Lord Narasimha, your Mars, although malefic, it's going to give you the benefit of getting your problems resolved. You will gain the speed to dispose that dispute very quickly by not breaking the law, but by being smart and using the loopholes available and exploit that situation to your advantage. And that's a smart Mars at work. And who gives this knowledge? Jupiter gives this knowledge. It comes through your family. It comes through somebody from your family. Because Jupiter is now in the second house. It could also be your siblings because Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini. So every obstacle you meet in the coming weeks has the potential to become your pet project of solving those problems, where your skills become sharp and you achieve mastery. So don't be afraid that it's a malefic Mars. Just pray to Lord Narasimha and things will go smoothly. I guarantee you that. Now let's look at Mars's aspect. Mars aspects the sign of Capricorn from the sign of Libra, so that happens to be your ninth house. And what is ninth house? Ninth is father figures, teachers, higher purpose. So you may feel restless with traditional beliefs or even challenged by your mentors. Travel and education could be intense. If you're pursuing higher education, Mars can become very decisive to make things a lot more easier for you in getting that degree or scholarship. However, since Mars is also the 12th lord, there could be conflicts with gurus or there could be ideological clashes with gurus. The second thing is Mars aspects the seventh house from itself, which happens to be your 12th house, which is Aries. And this is a powerful aspect because Mars is actually aspecting one of its own signs. It means your subconscious, your sleep, your hidden fears, and your secret enemies are getting activated. That is not good, but it's a chance for you to see what's lying under the surface. It's a chance for you to bring to light what's been hidden, to purge what's been hidden. So Mars puts a lot of energy into knowing the unknown, knowing what is hidden from plain sight. And that means you start investigating to get to the root of that problem, because that's where the solution is going to come from. Finally, Mars aspects the eighth from itself, which happens to be your ascendant. Mars is now directly aspecting you, and that is definitely not a very good sign because that could lead to accidents, that could lead to health issues. There could be Mars could actually make you very aggressive or very irritable. All of that is possible with Mars aspecting your ascendant from the sixth house. Uh, but like I said, praying to Lord Narasimha will keep Mars in check. The shadow side of this transit is that Mars can make you very quarrelsome. You could get easily provoked and restless. There could be arguments at work. There could be stress in your relationship. Uh, Disturbed sleep as well. There could be sudden health flare-ups. All are possible. You may feel like you're being attacked from multiple sides. Enemies from the outside. There could be um, restlessness from within. It's going to be a very tough situation to balance, but that's what Libra is all about. It's about balance. But the gain is where the true gift lies. Mars in the sixth gives you victory over your enemies. So there's definitely going to be struggle, no doubt. But if you do not struggle, there's never going to be any victory. It gives you courage to tackle debt, to discipline and fix your health and stamina, to outwork your competitors. All of that is now being focused on by Mars. So by the time this transit ends, you will not just survive your battles, you will master them. And this is your chance to burn away old karmic debts. Mars in the sixth with Jupiter's guiding glance is like a blacksmith forging steel. Yes, the fire is hot, the hammering could be painful, but what comes out is sharper, stronger, and ready to serve a higher purpose. Mars. That is what we're looking at. So, Taurus, the challenge is real, but the gain is that you're going to be victorious over enemies. Release from hidden fears is also going to happen once the transit is over, and a stronger, wiser, healthier version of yourself because of Mars's aspect on the ascendant itself. So, if you liked what you heard, please give it a thumbs up. Tell me what you liked about this prediction. Hype, share, and subscribe for more. And if you need a consultation, do drop an email, which I'm mentioning in the description as well. Next up, we have Gemini ascendants or Gemini moon sign. Now let's look at Gemini. For Gemini, Mars moves into your fifth house in the sign of Libra. And fifth house is connected with what? It is connected with creative endeavors. It is connected with your children. It is connected with artistic self-expression. It is connected with romance and also your education. So Mars brings a lot of competition because it is also the sixth lord, and it wants recognition because it is the 11th lord. So Mars wants recognition in the fifth house. It wants recognition in education. So if you're a student, it's going to be really good for you because Mars might now want you to participate in physical contact sports. But then because of Jupiter's aspect onto Mars, it can be something about communication. Maybe it would be about participating in a debate. And when Mars is in the fifth house, Mars now cannot go physical with your children. Mars has to be more patient with your children. Mars is all about negotiating with your children, especially because Jupiter is now aspecting Mars. And that is the beauty, and that is where Mars now, although he could be irritable without the aspect of Jupiter, he now wants to negotiate with your children and teach them. And Mars is now here to learn the art of communication. He wants to do it quick, get things done very quickly. And that is the beauty of this transit. You're going to see a lot of prosperity in a very short time with Mars in the sign of Libra. And also for those who are single, this is very telling because Mars owns the sixth as well as your 11th house. So there will be a lot of competition and the desire to be recognized by that other person. There will be difficulty in proposing that other person or asking that person for a date if that's what is on your mind. But Mars being in the fifth house now has the powerful blessing of Jupiter through its fifth aspect. This is the time to learn about your partner's interests. It is the time for you to know about their likes, their dislikes, and strike when the iron is hot. This is the time to make bold yet calculated moves because Gemini is ruled by Mercury. It is very calculative. And that is what is going to make you a winner. So if you've been holding on from expressing your feelings about someone, then this is the time to let that feeling fly, let it out in the open, go propose that special someone if that's what is on your mind. For those who are married and looking for a child, then this is like a wonderful time to start working on that child. Some of you may actually see conception when Mars goes into Libra. As far as work goes or income goes, Mars brings fire um, into this playful artistic house. And that can make you very ambitious about turning your passions into something tangible. Jupiter acts like a wise teacher, whispering into Mars's ear, saying, don't waste your energy on meaningless fights, disputes. Channel this energy into learning and creating something. So the transit is excellent for creating something new, a new creative project, pursuing a new subject or study, or even investing because Jupiter makes you think long term. While Mars gives the courage to take the leap, even if it is something new for you. So the 6th and 11th Lord combination going into the 5th house means Mars will provide you the impetus to fiercely pursue the goals in the field of the 5th house. And the goal is going to be very clear. It wants recognition, it wants fulfillment of desires through your skill and talent. Now, Mars aspects the sign of Capricorn, which happens to be your 8th house. So, Mars throws energy into the mysteries of life. You may feel compelled to research subjects which have a lot of depth and not just vastness. 4th aspect could also help you confront fears of loss or face sudden changes in life. Of course, the shadow side of Mars's aspect on the sign of Capricorn, which is your 8th house, is that there could be anxiety about the unknown. But the gain is that you confront those fears and try to transform yourself. 7th aspect is on the sign of Aries. This is your 11th house. This is big. Mars now energizes your gains, your friendships, your social circles. You may aggressively socialize with people or even get into conflicts with friends due to disputes with money. But this is also a time where your bold moves could help you in realizing your ambitions, especially financially. The 8th aspect is on the sign of Taurus, your 12th house. Mars activates your subconscious and hidden enemies. You may feel restless at night or your energy may drain if you don't control your impulses. Yet this is also a house of your spiritual growth. Mars is burning away what no longer serves you. The shadow side of this transit is that there's too many things happening. Too many things, right? So your energy is getting scattered. You may feel pulled between love and studies, children, finances, and also spiritual inquiry. There could be speculative investments that could be making you impatient, putting you in a lot of risk. But the gain is undeniable because Mars is aspecting the 11th house. It means there could be definitive gains through investment, especially because Jupiter is now blessing Mars. You could go aggressive, but then because of Libra, it's going to be more balanced in the way it trades things. And definitely, there's going to be a lot of profit to be made during this transit. And if you're studying, it's going to fuel your intense focus. If you're in love, it brings passion and excitement. If you're into business, then Mars is going to bring a lot of passion and excitement into your business as well. It pushes you to innovate and take bold decisions. And with Mars aspecting the 11th house, those efforts can be real, tangible gains. So Mars fifth house is all about how you use your inner fire. Fifth is about fun and play. Mars is a very active planet. You can now channel that energy into sports, like physical sports, but more like debate is what I see happening because of Jupiter's aspect on Mars. Um, and that's all I've got for Gemini. If you like this video, please subscribe for more. And next up, we have Cancer Ascended or Cancer Moon sign. So for Cancer, Mars goes into your fourth house in the sign of Libra. And fourth is your emotional foundation. It is your home, your mother, property, vehicles, and also your sense of inner peace. And when fiery Mars enters the sign of Libra in the fourth house, it's going to stir a lot of your emotions. You may feel restless at home, eager to make changes in your living situation. Maybe there's something that is so pressing at home that needs an immediate improvement. Or maybe you want to confront family matters. This is a transit that tests your emotional balance, but also gives you the courage to claim your peace. Now, Mars is not alone in this sign because it is receiving Jupiter's fifth aspect from the sign of Gemini. This is a saving grace. Now, without Jupiter, Mars in the fourth could feel too aggressive, creating a lot of emotional struggle or restlessness in the heart. But with Jupiter guiding it, this becomes a creative force, inspiring you to renovate your home, beautify your surroundings, study from home, or find new sources of inner strength. Mars is your 10th lord as well as your 5th lord going into the 4th house. And that means this is the time for you to create something. Maybe you're going to start construction of a new home or buy a new house or do something creative with home. And that work is now going to commence because Mars is your 10th lord. Commencement of construction. And Jupiter is throwing his positive energy onto Mars, which now wants to bring creative solutions in getting that property deal or construction. Mars is about taking bold steps. And here in the 4th house, it is regarding property, vehicles, or even balancing family with career. Now, let's look at Mars's aspect. Mars aspects the 7th house. Your relationships are now going to come under fire. You may feel more assertive or even combative with your spouse or business partners. Mars wants to control things in the 7th house. The shadow is conflict, but the gain is clarity. You see who truly supports your peace and who disturbs it. 7th aspect is on the sign of Aries, which happens to be your 10th house. Mars directly charges up your career. Ambition is going to be very high when Mars is now going to cast its drishti on the 10th house. You may take bold steps at work. You could also compete with your colleagues or take on leadership roles. But if it is not managed properly, then it can create clashes with authority figures. But if it is channeled, then this is a career-defining transit for Cancer people. 8th aspect is on the sign of Taurus, which is your 11th house. Mars activates your gains, your networks, and ambitions, but this is not a soft blessing. The 8th aspect forces transformation. Some friends may fall away. Certain sources of income may also shift all of a sudden because Mars is casting its 8th aspect. And this is clearing the ground so new and more aligned gains can enter the 11th house. So let's put it all together. The shadow of this transit is emotional turbulence at home. There could be restlessness in relationships. There could be a feeling of being pulled between family and career. You may also feel like friends or networks are unreliable at the moment. But the gain is also going to be very good because this is a reset of your foundation. With Mars as both the Lord of your fifth as well as your 10th, your creative intelligence and career ambitions are being poured into your emotional core. If you take bold steps, wise steps, you can establish both inner as well as outer success. And the lesson is all about balance. You need to balance your home as well as your career. And that is possible only if you can balance your inner emotions. And with a strong Jupiter, that is possible now. So for Cancer, this is a time to build not just homes, not just careers, but your emotional stability that lasts a long time. And expect to negotiate with regards to your property or vehicle once Mars enters the sign of Libra. And that's all I've got for Cancer. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share this with your friends and family. And if you need a consultation, do drop an email and I will see what I can do for you. Next up, we have Leo Ascendants or Leo Moon sign. Mars goes into the third house in the sign of Libra. The third house is the seat of courage, communication, siblings, skills, short travels, and also the initiatives that you take. And when Mars, the fiery Mars, when it enters the third house, your drive for action is going to intensify. You're going to feel a strong push to express yourself and take bold decisions and even confront matters with siblings or neighbors. This is the house of initiatives, and Mars here makes you fearless in the third house. That means whatever initiative you were afraid to take will now present itself with an opportunity for you to cash in. Mars has an agenda in the third, and that is quiet, consistent work towards achieving one's ambition. Your communication now will change for the better. And that is mainly due to Jupiter aspecting Mars through its fifth aspect from the sign of Gemini. Mars is also your fourth lord as well as your ninth lord, and that means there's a lot of blessing that is coming up through Mars. So whatever you touch now has the potential of turning into gold. You know what I mean? It's that damn good. Mars third house means that you're now going to speak or write with conviction. Speak or write in either black or white. But then, since Mars is now in the sign of Libra, your communication style has to be more balanced. Mars can no more write like either a leftist or a right-wing person. He now has to be more balanced, be more secular. And that calls for wisdom. And Jupiter actually brings that wisdom onto Mars. It's going to make Mars to communicate in a style that is more appealing to everybody, regardless of who they are. And its communication is going to be so damn good that even the people who would normally disagree with you on a topic would now want to agree with you. Mars turns into a diplomat. So its style of expressing things is now going to change, and that means you're going to be benefited by the communication skill that you're going to hone in the coming days. This is also a powerful time for teachers because Mars is your ninth lord going into the third house. This is a powerful time for those who are working in the marketing field or anyone who must use their voice. Effortless communication is what we're looking at. This is not the time for idle talk. Whatever you express can now shape your destiny. Bold moves and initiatives can make you very fortunate. Mars is, after all, your Yoga Karka. So make the best of this time. Now let's look at Mars's three aspects. Fourth aspect on Capricorn, your sixth house. This is the battlefield of work, of health, and also enemies. So Mars here wants to conquer your daily struggles. But on the shadow side, you may face arguments at work or sudden health imbalance. But the gain is strength. Mars helps you to defeat competitors and get on top of your routine. Mars also, through its seventh aspect, is now aspecting the ninth house. Mars is directly charging up your fortune. If you use your talent and skill in the right direction, because third house is also talent and skill. So if you use it in the right manner, in a balanced way, without arrogance, thinking that you already know the truth, then be certain that this is a golden opportunity for you to increase your wealth. You can also gain higher wisdom, or you could now travel for business, or to meet your gurus, or to meet your father connected with land or property. Ninth house is also higher education. So you could now pursue something that you always wanted to pursue. Excellent time for those who are into electronics or electrical sciences. Eighth aspect is on Taurus, your 10th house. Career transformation is in play when Mars aspects your 10th house. The eighth aspect of Mars is never really a gentle one, but Mars pushes you to face uncertainty in your profession. So there could be a sudden change in status. Maybe there's a change in your role. Maybe you're getting promoted, or maybe you're moving into a lateral job posting where you have to do something different from what you were doing. And that could also involve teaching, maybe training. Maybe that was never really near your radar till now, but that is now getting recognized by people. But that does not mean that you're losing here. You're only realigning with the Martian energy in the sign of Libra. And that is what is really happening, especially with Jupiter's energy being pushed onto Mars. You're now going to get an opportunity to teach a lot of people at work, or maybe outside your work as well. Mars is cutting away stagnation, so your career path can grow in a different path as well, so embrace the challenges that come to you at work. Now, the big picture is that there's a shadow side of this transit, which is impulsiveness. There could be arguments with siblings. There could be hasty decisions. Maybe there could also be overconfidence in speech, or there could be unnecessary confrontations in work or in your relationship. But don't worry, Jupiter's aspect ensures that your communication is guided by wisdom and not just ego. So the gain is empowerment. Mars, as your ninth lord of Dharma in the third house, means that your courage now aligns with what you're destined to achieve. The more you use your skills, your words in a humble way, the more luck and support you will attract. This is also a time where small efforts can bring big rewards. So for Leo, this transit is about taking bold steps, speaking your truth, and shaping your career and dharma through courage. This is the time for you to learn how to speak and how to take those bold decisions. It's a time of learning as well. Jupiter is here to teach you. Absolutely wonderful transit for Leos. And that's about it for Leo. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. And if you want a consultation, do drop an email. And if you like what you heard, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share this with your friends and family. Next up, we have Virgo Ascendants or Virgo Moon sign. So for Virgo rising or moon sign, this transit is especially important because Mars is in Libra, will be in your second house. Now, Mars is not naturally comfortable in this sign because um, Libra is Venus's airy balancing sign, while Mars is actually a fiery planet which wants to push forward. So there's a clash of style, but Jupiter is also casting its fifth aspect onto Mars. So whatever decision Mars takes will now be very balanced and also backed by facts. The second house is your wealth. It is the house of your family, your speech, and also values. Mars here brings a warrior like energy into how you deal with money, how you defend your family, and even how you speak. So your words become sharp but wise and balanced. You could now take balanced decisions around finance, about your savings. Mars rules your third house as well as your eighth house, and that shows there's a problem within your family that needs to be addressed as soon as Mars enters the sign of Libra. There could be a do or die situation within the family. But Jupiter's gaze on Mars means there's going to be a positive transformation or an improvement in your family life and finance, which means there could be inherited wealth. especially related to property or gifts that come from somebody. Jupiter fifth aspect gives you the courage to build your wealth through your own effort and sudden decisive moves. Now let's look at Mars's aspect. Mars aspects the sign of Capricorn, which happens to be your fifth house. This is a very powerful aspect because Mars energizes your creative self expression, your children, and your sense of passion. Your sense of passion in doing something artistic or creative. So you may now suddenly want to conquer a new skill or maybe a new hobby or even take bold steps in love affairs. If you're single, then it could really work in your favor. The shadow side of this transit is that Mars can actually make you a bit of a control freak. You could be a bit too forceful in romance. But the gain is turning your creative endeavor into a powerful expression, even monetizing it. Mars's seventh aspect is on the sign of Aries, which happens to be your eighth house. This time around, Mars wants to resolve issues connected with shared resources, joint finances, and also intimacy. Eighth house is connected with longevity. Mars's usual gaze onto the eighth does not augur well for the self or for spouse, but since this time Mars is being aspected by Jupiter, you should not really worry about longevity. In fact, there could be some activity that you now begin which will increase your longevity. Mars is lean and mean, so expect to diet and burn that fat. You're also possibly gearing up for something big. Make no mistakes that this is going to be a very transformative phase in your life. Maybe you're planning for a child. That could happen. Mars's eighth aspect is on Taurus, your ninth house. So this is where Mars wants to challenge your beliefs, your higher learning, your teachers. You may question gurus, clash with religious or moral systems. But you know what? Mars, usually when it's casting its eye on the ninth house, uh, especially when it is through the eighth aspect, Mars wants to carve its own path to wisdom and find a more personal connection to truth. It does not want forced opinions from gurus or from teachers. It wants to learn from its own experience. But since Jupiter is also aspecting it, there's going to be less of that. But it will be more about burning away beliefs that no longer serve you or does not connect with your higher truth. So, this transit for Virgo will be about finding strength in your values, finding strength in your speech, while Jupiter is actually refining your speech through its wisdom. Yes, there can be family conflicts or financial ups and downs, but the bigger gain is that you can transform your communication into a source of wealth. And that's all I've got for Virgo. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. If you like what you heard, do give it a like and share this with your friends and family. And if you want a consultation, do drop an email. Next up, we have Libra Ascendants or Libra Moon sign. All right, for Libra rising, this is one of the most defining transits of the year. Mars is entering your first house, the house of self, personality, health, and the way world sees you. Whenever Mars sits in the Lagna, your whole aura becomes sharper, it becomes bold and more action oriented. People notice your drive, your decisiveness, but also Mars can make you a bit impatient when it is in the first house. Why? Because Mars is not comfortable here. Libra is Venus's airy balancing sign, while Mars is a fiery planet that wants to push its agenda. So there's a clash of styles. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Jupiter is now casting its eye onto Mars through its fifth aspect from your ninth house. So, what does that mean? It means your passion, your actions, and your very self expression are now being guided by wisdom, higher learning, teachers, and also Dharma. This is a wonderful time to align your bold initiatives with your long term philosophy. Instead of rushing blindly, you can actually channel Mars's fire into something creative, uh, or educational, or even something dharmic. For Libra, Mars rules the second house as well as your seventh house. This is huge because it means that while Mars sits in your first house, it brings the energy of money and also family and speech and also relationship and partnerships. Your sense of self now becomes directly tied to both wealth and relationship. You may feel like you're standing in the middle, defending your own individuality while balancing family demands and partners' expectations. Many Librans are also going to be spending money on themselves because second lord in first house means there's going to be a lot of money that's going to be spent on appearance. Maybe you're also going to spend money on communication, on refining your communication. But the best part is that money that comes out of it, that is the bonus. Mars transit Libra will be a good time to earn extra income this month. Wonderful time if you're looking for collaboration as well because Mars is aspecting the seventh house. Jupiter wants you to learn the art of collaboration or working with other people to enhance your reach or to market yourself. This is a time where family or other people are going to come to you for help, come to you seeking wisdom and to learn from you. And that means people would want to invest money in you. Now, the reverse can also be true because, Mars is aspecting the seventh house. So you might want to invest in other people for the purpose of marketing. And that's quite possible. Mars aspecting the seventh can also strengthen the bonds of your relationship with your spouse or the one that you want to connect with. Single Librans, a window of opportunity is now opening up to go to that person of your desire and put forth your proposal. Whether it is in romantic partnership or in business partnership, it's time for you to now muster that courage and walk up to that person and say, "Hi, I'm so and I've got this proposal. What do you think about it?" And other people are definitely going to love your energy and your boldness and your confidence. Mars's fourth aspect is on Capricorn. This energizes the fourth house. You could now invest money in property or do something with your home. You could spend money on your mother. This is basically a time to gain emotional stability and also do some inner engineering, like meditate or do something that would bring stability of mind or clarity of mind. Mars wants to give you a stable mind and conquer your fears as well. Usually, with Mars aspecting the fourth, you might feel restless at home or you might want to dominate decisions about property and family life. But with Jupiter's aspect onto Mars, Jupiter's wisdom is changing Mars's entire behavior. Things are going to be pretty smooth this transit. So you would now have the courage to take real decisions, take charge of real estate, of vehicles, or settling family disputes. Mars's eighth aspect is on Taurus, your eighth house. This is where Mars confronts fears, secrets, shared resources, joint investments, in laws as well. So, this can bring sudden confrontations around joint finances, inheritance, uh, intimacy with your spouse, and also confrontation with in laws. So, tread carefully in this path, and it's better to resolve the issues through wisdom and tact rather than resorting to a confrontational stance. But in all likelihood, Mars will not do that. Mars is in the sign of Libra, so it wants balance. And Jupiter is also trying to tell Mars, you need to learn the art of negotiation and try to be a diplomat and put things in a way that will not cause any harm or hurt to people. So, Libra, this transit is a call to step into your power. Mars in the first gives you energy, it gives you confidence and presence. It's also going to be tempered by Jupiter's wisdom from the ninth. And that means if you allow your actions to be guided by higher learning, higher truths, you won't just be impulsive. You will be unstoppable in creating something meaningful. There is a chance now for you to redefine yourself, become stronger, wiser, and more affluent. And that's all I've got for Libra. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. And if you like what you heard, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment, share this with your friends and family. And if you want a consultation, do drop an email. Next up, we have Scorpio. So for Scorpio ascendants or Scorpio moon sign, this Mars transit is going to be very personal for you because Mars is your Lagna Lord, the ruler of your personality, vitality, and your life's direction. And wherever Mars goes, you go. And this time Mars is going into your 12th house in the sign of Libra. Now, the 12th house is not easy. It rules foreign lands, it rules sleep, it rules your expenses, losses, isolation, and the subconscious mind. And when your Lagna Lord is going into the 12th, you may feel like withdrawing from the world, retreating into your inner space, or even physically moving away from your familiar surroundings. But the beauty of this transit is, of course, is in Jupiter's aspect. Jupiter is aspecting Mars to its 5th aspect from the sign of Gemini. And this transforms what could feel like isolation into a creative spiritual retreat. Jupiter adds wisdom, philosophical insight, the ability to see higher meaning behind your actions. If you're spiritually aligned during this transit, it's going to be a very positive transit for you in gaining a deeper understanding about the mysteries of life, the deeper understanding about moksha, about liberation. Mars for Scorpio rules the 1st house, and it also rules the 6th house. So in Libra, Mars is carrying both your identity and your ability to conquer enemies, debts, and health challenges. In the 12th, this means there will be new beginnings with regards to spirituality. There could be foreign connections that are happening which could bring forth newfound wisdom. Your journey with regards to philosophy or with regards to knowing the truth, the higher truth, could now happen behind the scenes or in foreign places. You might defeat enemies without confrontation because Mars is your 6th lord going into the 12th house. And 6th lord is what? 6th is the house of enemies. And your enemies are now going into a bucket of losses. And that means you don't even have to lift a finger to defeat them. They're already in loss. They're already defeated. So this Mars transit can bring a strong focus on healing and spiritual discipline. And I think that is where you need to really focus on when Mars goes here. But also Mars in Libra means there could be a balanced spending. You don't go aggressive, which you would otherwise do. But here you're guided by Jupiter's wisdom when it comes to spending. Also, Mars's aspect. Now, Mars aspects the sign of Capricorn through its 4th aspect, and Capricorn happens to be your 3rd house. So this brings courage, communication, siblings, and short travels into focus. You may feel an urge to dominate in communication or even prove your point aggressively with your sibling, or you might want to actually prove your point in a more balanced way because Mars is in the sign of Libra and Jupiter is now aspecting Mars. That means a lot of your ideas, your spiritual ideas, are now being shared with your sibling. And Jupiter is here to refine your communication. So there's nothing wrong in the way you communicate with your sibling. But yeah, the shadow side of this transit is that there could be some arguments with your siblings. There could be some rash communication that could happen. But the gain is that you now gain the courage to write, speak, or start bold projects that require a lot of willpower. Also, expect to travel to meet your siblings if you're far away from them, and you could also meet your neighbors, your erstwhile neighbors or friends during this transit. Mars's 7th aspect is on the sign of Aries, your 6th house. Here, Mars becomes very strong because it aspects its own sign. This gives you firepower against enemies, obstacles, and also confronting your health issues. The shadow is that you may attract conflicts or legal battles. For some, this could be connected with property, but the gain is that you will have the energy and fighting spirit to win over them decisively and also conclusively because of Jupiter's aspect on the 12th house. where Mars will be transiting for you. So now 6th house is also your daily routines. So your work-life balance is also getting affected here. It shows that you will confront obstacles in career head on. You may face competition, or you could face a lot of work. Heavy workload is on the cards, but you will have the strength to win. Jupiter's aspect makes this very supportive for training, for upskilling, maybe starting a new project. And you should do this very quietly before launching it to public later. And when the sixth lord goes into the 12th, it indicates that there could be working behind the scenes or careers connected with foreign or hidden spaces, including working in hospitals or ashrams or in a not for profit organization. So, a lot can happen during this transit. Keep looking, keep your mind open to the possibilities. Also, when Mars is in the 12th house, there could be loss of blood or injury, and that is something that you need to be careful and watch out for. Jupiter will definitely minimize the loss, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. So watch what you're doing. Don't be impulsive. Don't rush into things. Take things very slowly, and you should come out of this transit easy peasy. And Mars's eighth aspect is on Taurus, your seventh house. This is powerful, but it is also a very sensitive aspect, right? Because uh, it could indicate sudden confrontations in marriage or partnerships. There could be issues in relationships that could surface and bog you down. But it also means that you will have to face those confrontations. There could be hidden anger or mistrust coming to the surface. But the gain is that you now have the opportunity for true transformation in your partnership. You could now achieve depth and honesty in your relationship. If you're wise enough to understand what relationships entail, then this transit can be very helpful in learning something new. Yeah, and Scorpio, I know that this could feel a bit draining at first because Mars is in the 12th, but it's actually preparing you for a reset. Jupiter's influence turns it into a spiritual quest. You gain the courage to face your inner fears. You could heal quietly and come back stronger. But the shadow side of this transit is that there could be sleeplessness, there could be secret conflicts, but the gain is liberation spiritually, emotionally, and even financially if you channel this energy into discipline. This is a time to fight quietly, transform, and rise powerfully. And that's all I've got for Scorpios. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. And if you want a consultation, do drop an email. And if this transit prediction stirs something in you, leave a comment and also share this with your friends and family. Next up, we have Sagittarius Ascendants or Sagittarius Moon sign. Sagittarius, for you, Mars becomes a very interesting planet because Mars rules your fifth house of creative endeavor, self expression, intelligence, the Pura Punya, the past life merit that you bring into this life, and also the 12th house of losses, 12th house of sacrifice, 12th house of isolation, spiritual detachment. So, whenever Mars is active in your chart, whenever Mars is transiting, there's always this dual energy that is playing out. One part is about joy, children, creation, whereas the other part is about letting go. It's about sacrifice. It's about what you lose. Now, Mars moves into your 11th house in the sign of Libra, and the 11th house is about gains, recognition, networks, elder siblings, and the fulfillment of your desires. Mars here becomes ambitious. It does not want to sit quietly in the background. It wants to climb. It wants recognition. And it wants to gather energy through other people. And that is definitely going to happen this time because your Lord Jupiter is now in the seventh house and it is aspecting Mars through its fifth aspect. That means you stand to gain through relationship. You stand to gain through partnerships. You also stand to gain through family. Family could be your parents, it could be your spouse, it could be your children, it could also be your elder sibling. So you could now gain money through any of them. All of that is possible. Mars also is now going to look forward to expand the social circle. And in the sign of Libra, aspected by Jupiter, Mars is now going to become a people pleasing planet. Oh my God. Now, that is something that we don't see very often. And 11th house Mars means that there could be gain through property, gain through speculative income, gain through investment. But the fun part of this transit is that Mars, being the fifth lord, is going into the 11th house and it is aspecting the fifth house. And that means there's going to be some kind of celebration. There's going to be a reunion, a get together. Maybe you want to go on a vacation on a fun event with your friends, or you could now meet your long lost friends. Your social circle is also now coming together to have some fun. So, Mars in 11th makes you very adventurous, makes you very bold. You're all set to explore and socialize with people from different backgrounds, including foreign people. And now let's look at the aspects of Mars. Mars's fourth aspect falls on your second house. Second house is your wealth, your family, your food, speech, and you may feel more protective of your savings or defensive about family matters when Mars is aspecting the second house. Money may flow in through networks. Money may flow in through speculative gains or through partnerships. But it also gets spent quickly because of social obligations, and that is something that you need to be mindful of. So, Mars's aspect on the sign of Capricorn can either build your savings or burn them. Seventh aspect goes on to your fifth house. Aries, this is Mars's own sign. And this fires up romantic relationships and also could bring about a desire to have a child. There's more passion in relationship, but also a possibility of having more arguments in with your partner. That could also happen. And as far as children goes, you may feel the need to discipline them very strongly. If you're in the creative field, this aspect ignites bold expression. And then Mars casts its eighth aspect on your sixth house of Taurus. Sixth house is about debt, enemies, health routines. This is the battleground. You may now find hidden opponents coming to the light or sudden expenses draining you. But it's also a time when you can conquer these enemies with courage, provided you stay disciplined. All right, that's all I've got for Sagittarius. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. If something stirred in you about this prediction, leave a comment and share this with your friends and family. And also, if you need a consultation, to drop an email. Next up, we have Capricorn. For Capricorn rising or Capricorn moon sign, Mars in Libra will be in your 10th house, the house of profession, the house of status, repetition, and public life. Mars is going to do exceptionally well when it enters your 10th house. Why? Because Mars gains directional strengths. And of course, Mars is neither exalted nor is it debilitated. In Libra, it's got that perfect balance. And that means this Mars is going to bring about work-life balance, especially because Mars is also now aspecting your fourth house, and Mars also happens to be your fourth lord. Mars brings energy, initiative, and assertiveness to your work life. You're going to feel a strong drive to lead, to take charge of the situation, and also take very bold decisions, and then be recognized for those efforts that you put in. There's an urge to move up the ladder in your career with this position, and Mars fuels that ambition, and you're going to see an opportunity that is coming, and you're going to clinch that opportunity. Mars fuels your ambition with courage and determination, but at the same time, since its seventh aspect is on the fourth house, Mars actually wants to spend a lot of time at home. But being your 11th lord as well as your fourth lord, there's a possibility that you may now end up working at home. Capricorns are mostly very hardworking individuals. They know that hard work will someday pay off. It's quite possible that you spend more time working, but this time it could be work from home or something similar where You're very close to home and you could now balance both things very neatly. And Jupiter's aspect from the sign of Gemini wants to bring resolutions to problems. The 11th house is house of networks, the house of income and gains, your dreams. Some of that is also going to come true. 11th house is the house of rewards. There's a good possibility that you might get rewarded, especially if you're going through a good dasha or bhukti. So obviously, Mars is now giving you a great yoga to perform wonderfully at your workplace. The decisions that you make in the coming days will be linked to expanding your network circle. So once you're in tune with what is right for you in terms of expansion of your professional sphere as well as your network circle, you're going to act on that information. Now, Jupiter's fifth aspect from Gemini brings wisdom to this fiery Mars in your 10th house. Your career actions, while ambitious, can now be guided by strategy, foresight, and ethical considerations. This is a time where professional growth is going to be accelerated if you align your ambition with higher principles. People are also watching you. Now let's look at Mars's aspects. Fourth aspect of Mars is now on the sign of Capricorn, your first house. Mars energizes your very self expression. The shadow side of this is that you may feel impatient, you may feel a bit restless or overly competitive at this time. But what you gain is the courage and vitality to assert yourself in new ways, making your presence felt and taking bold steps towards your ambitions. But most importantly, Mars wants to bring you repetition and recognition during this transit. Seventh aspect is on the sign of Aries, which happens to be your fourth house. Mars influences your domestic life. You could now travel to meet your mother, or you could travel to seek the blessings of your parents, or you could also do something that is connected with property or your home, maybe bring some improvement there. All of that is possible. And since it's the 11th Lord aspecting the fourth house, there's going to be a gain of land. That is also possible, especially if you're going through Mars Dasha. Eighth aspect is on the sign of Taurus, your fifth house. Mars brings intensity to creative projects. He brings intensity into your romance and interactions with children. So this is going to be a very transformative energy in creative work. You might now start working on bold new projects, something that many may be afraid of doing or something that's not explored until now. The shadow of this transit is potential overwork. You could be impatient at work with your colleagues or stepping on others in the pursuit of recognition. The gain, however, is immense, though, because Mars in the 10th is blessed by Jupiter's aspects, and that can help you achieve tangible progress, establish your authority, and create lasting success in career. Bold moves now, when tempered by wisdom, can actually lead you to get that recognition or promotion or the successful completion of some important project at work. But you need to remember to stick to the principles. If you're found breaking the law, then things can go pretty south quickly. So in short, Capricorns, this transit is about asserting yourself in your professional life while staying connected to your home life and higher purpose. Mars gives the drive, Jupiter gives the wisdom, and together they can help you build a career path that is both powerful and sustainable. So, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. If something stirred in you about this prediction, leave a comment and share this with your friends and family. Next up, we have Aquarius. And also, if you need a consultation, do drop an email, guys. So, for Aquarius, Mars is moving into your 9th house, the house of Dharma, higher learning, long distance travel. The 9th is also about philosophy, your worldview. And this is a placement that energizes your beliefs, your learning, and your long term goals. Mars in the 9th urges you to take bold actions in areas of education, spirituality, or even your foreign connections. You may now feel restless to explore and to expand and to grow your knowledge, but there's also a fiery, assertive energy that pushes you to turn ideas into action. Now, usually Mars in the 9th is all about being independent and finding your own truths about life. So Mars in 9th never really likes to set boundaries or rules. It does not like to be forced with ideas. And that's why this is not a very good placement when it is in the house of gurus, because You could now challenge your gurus, or you could say that, I don't want to learn from you. I want to live that experience and find out for myself. But luckily, this time around, we've got Jupiter aspecting your Mars from your fifth house. So Mars is now going to be in sync with the energies of Libra, of being balanced, of keeping an open mind and adhering to the laws of the land, the laws of one's own traditional beliefs. Mars rules your third as well as your 10th house and is now transiting in the ninth house. Ninth house, foremost thing is higher education. And when Mars goes into the ninth, it means there's accelerated learning. You could now get into a crash course on something. Also, ninth is connected with long distance travels. This means there's commencement of journey, commencement of work connected to places of worship, like going to a holy place, a temple, or a church far away. You could also travel related to higher education. Also, you may feel compelled to assert your beliefs or take risks in education, take risks in publishing something, or go after spiritual practice. And since Jupiter is aspecting Mars in the ninth, Jupiter does not want Mars to fight blindly. Jupiter is here to ensure that your risk taking is backed by facts and not by just mere hunches. Even if it is a hunch, it will be pretty solid. This transit is also going to bring you a sense of happiness and joy, or even some form of excitement. Don't be surprised if you get called out for an adventurous trip. And Mars, fourth aspect is on your 12th house. Mars energizes hidden matters, isolation, foreign lands, and also spiritual retreats, which means there could be a lot of spending that might come your way. And there could be impulsive spending, restlessness in falling asleep. But the gain because of Jupiter is that it now gives you the courage to face your subconscious fears, to take on spiritual or foreign opportunities and work behind the scenes on something very transformative. Seventh aspect is on Aries, which happens to be your third house. Mars fires up communication, your courage, your interaction with siblings or neighbors. They're on an all-time high. And the shadow is that there could be arguments, there could be impulsive decisions. But the gain is that you're going to take bold initiatives. There could be an improvement in your communication. There could be an improvement in your skills as well. And courage to speak up against wrong practices. That is what really Mars represents. Mars is about black or white. And if he sees something that is wrong, he's going to tell it. You could also now go on short journeys or become part of a community project. And that could be for the welfare of the society. And eighth aspect of Mars is now on the sign of Taurus, which happens to be your fourth house. So, fourth house Mars means that you're now going to confront your emotional foundation or confront someone at your home, even your mother. And that's possible. There could be work connected to taking care of your parents. It could be either your father or your mother, but mother is more likely. And Mars, usually when it is the 10th Lord, it means that he's working towards a solution to resolve some family dispute or to resolve some issue related to land or property, or commence some work related to land or property. But yeah, eighth aspect is never really a gentle gaze. So there could be hidden emotional challenges connected with this aspect. So that's something that you need to watch out for, even though Jupiter is casting his gaze on Mars. Now, Jupiter's fifth aspect from Gemini is definitely blessing Mars's fire with wisdom. It's blessing Mars with creativity and learning. And it means your pursuit of higher knowledge, travel, or dharma is actually now guided by Jupiter. So there's going to be a strong sense of, a strong desire for self-expression, because Jupiter in the fifth house represents strong desire for self-expression. And that could be in your traditional beliefs or philosophy. If you are a student, then this is excellent for studies. If you're into teaching, somewhere after your 40s or your 50s. If you're into teaching, if you're into philosophy or into doing something creative, then Jupiter is going to add grace and purpose to Mars's energy. You're going to love doing whatever you're doing now. So Mars gives you drive and passion in the ninth. Jupiter ensures that your inspiration and creative pursuits are now going to be in sync with the ninth house. Shadow is that there could be some restlessness, there could be some impulsiveness in beliefs or conflicts with mentors. There could be conflicts with authority figures, but also the gain is going to be substantial because Mars represents bold expansion, accelerated learning, new opportunities coming your way, uh, travel, higher education, all are on the cards. And that could give you a chance to transform your worldview. Jupiter wants wisdom. So, together, they can help you build knowledge, experience, and recognition in areas that matter most. So, this is a very good opportunity for Aquarius to expand your mind, to expand your worldview, and your long term ambitions. And Mars gives the drive, Jupiter gives the guidance. Together, you can pursue your goals in a way that is both passionate and enlightening. Next up, we have Pisces Ascendants or Pisces moon sign. Sees Mars moves into Libra, which happens to be your eighth house. This is an intense placement because the eighth house represents a transformation, fears, shared resources, sudden events, your in laws, and the mysteries of life itself. And Mars here is like a warrior entering the underworld. It wants to face what's hidden, it wants to confront the uncomfortable or the unknowable, and then dig out the truth. And now Jupiter from Gemini in your fourth is now casting its fifth aspect onto Mars in the eighth. This brings wisdom and learning about the mysteries of the universe, including astrology. Thankfully for Jupiter, the intensity of Mars is now becoming constructive rather than something that is destructive. Mars rules your second house as well as your ninth house, which means you could now invest money in learning about the mystical sciences or get interested in knowing your future. Hey, if you're planning to take a consultation, then drop an email and I would be glad to give you a reading. Now, eighth house consultation could also mean health consultation. So, in that case, then you must approach a health professional. Health checkup to diagnose hidden issues are now possible. Eighth house is not just about the inheritance that will come to you, but also the wealth that you've already inherited. So, ninth lord in the eighth house means your inherited wealth gets the blessings of your forefathers. And that can translate into flourishing your wealth or feeling a sense of being fortunate for the wealth that you inherited, especially land or property, and doing something with it. Maybe some improvement is now coming up because Mars is your second lord, and second lord means there's some investment being poured into landed property or generally whatever that inheritance that you've got, but mostly landed property. Mars's fourth aspect falls on Capricorn, which happens to be your 11th house. This means you will try to conquer your social circles, networks, and larger goals. You might feel the urge to dominate friendships or be assertive in communities. But the sign of Libra will keep it balanced without hurting your circle. The other positive side is that you will have the courage to go after gains, to go after recognition or some kind of a collective achievement because team play is seen from the 11th house. Mars' seventh aspect falls on Aries, your second house. Now, Mars directly opposes matters of family. It opposes matters of speech and values, also your wealth. So you could feel that conflict in your family, or there could be some sudden expense that comes to you. But the confrontation also forces you to reassess your savings, your financial standing, and your family bond. Mars's eighth aspect falls on Taurus, your third house. Now, eighth aspect, third house means there's going to be some confronting fears related to communication, siblings, or expressing yourself. And you could suddenly take center stage and start speaking. That could happen with Mars transit. So this is definitely going to be a positive one because Jupiter is also aspecting Mars, and that means its eighth aspect, although very sudden and could give you public speaking, it indicates something very positive. You may, however, face sudden challenges in these areas, but they become fuel for courage. Mars in the eighth wants you to break that hesitation in speaking your truth. Of course, the shadow side of this transit is that you may feel restless, overly suspicious, or even confrontational in family and partnership matters. There can be hidden issues that rise to the surface. The gain side is that when things are handled wisely, especially because of Jupiter's aspect, this is a wonderful opportunity for you to heal from within. There could also be a sudden gain in wealth or fortune through inheritance, through insurance, or shared assets. And there could be spiritual breakthroughs as well, because Mars is now in the eighth house. And Jupiter's aspect ensures that your transformation is somewhat linked to a higher purpose. So it's not chaos for the sake of chaos, but some kind of chaos could happen, but that leads to wisdom and that leads to correcting your path. And that's a wrap on all signs. And Pisces, if you want a consultation, do drop an email. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below for more such transit videos and all things connected with astrology. Also share this with your friends and family. And I will see you guys again with another new video very soon.